Developing tonight, a large pro-Palestinian protest underway on the USC campus in Los Angeles. You can see police moving in right now and detaining protesters. This is part of a growing wave of demonstrations all across the country. We will take you to Southern California live tonight. Plus,
now we're passing a bill to kill a baby, and we have the audacity to call that health care.
the country's heated debate over abortion intensifying tonight, with two West Coast states right in the middle of the fight. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Tonight, Arizona is on track to reverse a near total ban on abortion that was enacted by the state's Supreme Court several weeks ago. The 1864 law allows abortions only to save the life of a mother. Today, Democrats advanced a bill to repeal that law after two previous attempts failed. That vote in the Arizona legislature came on the same day the U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments over Idaho's abortion restrictions. We begin tonight's coverage of the country's abortion debate with Fox 10's Brian Webb in Phoenix.
The vote was 32 to 28. Now the same bill heads on over to the state Senate, where it's expected to pass next week. But first, a few fireworks. Pro-life groups packed the balcony, praying, reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, and singing God Bless America. Then the House chamber got down to business.
So to see how this has been turned against one party and used as a weaponization of the issue is disgusting. I hope people are happy now.
I think we've had plenty of time for conversation on this bill. I think the people of Arizona are waiting for us to get this done.
House Democrats trying a third time to repeal Arizona's 1864 abortion law. It basically bans abortion unless the mother's life is at risk. Last week, it was a 30-30 tie. Today, it passed.
It's up to a person to choose what they should do with their body. And I think having those conversations with people that you normally don't have, it's a very important thing.
So today's action by the House, and if the Senate follows suit, it still leaves a strong set of pro-life laws, common sense safeguards in place, but unfortunately it doesn't protect the lives of unborn children from abortion.
This turns the state back toward the 2022 law banning abortion at 15 weeks. But both sides promise the battle has just begun.
Oh, those three people, for whatever reason, vote on fear, they vote on money, they vote on power. They don't vote what's right.
Are they going to be primaried?
I hope so.
It's just the first step. We hope that this will pass through the Senate swiftly and make it to Governor Hobbs' desk, so not one Arizonan will have to live under this draconian ban.
If the proposal passes in the Senate, it would then go to the governor's desk. And don't forget, there are several proposals expected to be on the November ballot to let voters decide. At the state capitol, I'm Brian Webb, Fox 10 News.
And in response to Arizona enacting that near-total ban on abortion, California Governor Gavin Newsom announced a new bill earlier today that would allow Arizona doctors to come to California to perform abortions for Arizona residents. This bill has support from state senators and the California Medical Board. The California bill would allow Arizona physicians to quickly get a temporary license to see their patients through the end of this November. The measure needs two-thirds support from both houses in the legislature. If that happens, the bill would take effect as soon as the governor signs it.
This Arizona law is the first border state law that will directly impact the state of California. We're trying to get ahead of this law, which goes into effect on June 8th.
Planned Parenthood clinics in Northern California already responding to the bill. They say they're increasing telehealth appointments and other services, trying to accommodate what they expect to be a flood of patients if the California bill passes. Reproductive rights activists held a so-called die-in outside the U.S. Supreme Court today as the justices once again took up the issue of abortion, this time focusing on a case out of Idaho. The justices heard oral arguments on whether Idaho's abortion ban can be overruled by federal law. The Justice Department says federal law requires any patient be stabilized at an emergency room and that abortion care must be allowed in emergencies that seriously threaten a woman's health. Idaho, however, contends its ban already has exceptions for life-saving abortions and that state law should take precedence. The questions coming from the justices today suggest they are divided.
How can you impose restrictions on what Idaho can criminalize simply because hospitals in Idaho have chosen to participate in Medicare?
It's not all the state's way. Within these rare cases, there's a significant number where the woman is, her life is not imperiled, but she's going to lose her reproductive organs. She's going to lose the ability to have children in the future, unless an abortion takes place.
The justices will issue a decision in this case by the end of June. All right, we turn now to a developing story we are following tonight. Pro-Palestinian protests intensifying on college campuses all across the country. Some demonstrators are clashing with police on those campuses. And there are heated protests that are happening right now on USC's campus in Los Angeles. You can see this is a view here from the chopper showing us the scene right there in the middle of LA. Tensions rose all throughout the day. University officials at one point today decided to close the gates of the USC campus to the public this afternoon as the number of protesters continued to grow. A dispersal order was given, and just a short time ago, we have been seeing some people being detained by officers in riot gear here on the USC campus. Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf in the middle of the crowd tonight with more.
Tensions high Wednesday at the University of Southern California.
We will not stop, we will not rest!
Hundreds of pro-Palestinian protesters taking over Alumni Park. Are you a student at USC? Some of the demonstrators, students, others not.
I am not. I'm not a student.
Many here demanding a ceasefire.
There's a genocide happening in our name that our government is funding and backing, and there's nothing more important we can do than get organized to stop that.
Wow. Sky Fox above as campus police tore down tents for being on private property.
Let him go!
On the ground, tensions high.
Let him go!
Sources say a demonstrator was briefly put into a police car accused of hitting two members of law enforcement.
Let him go!
The crowd then surrounding the car when authorities let him go.
Give us space!
USC should divest its endowment from all interests, all financial involvement in the Israeli apartheid regime.
This organizer from USC Divest for Death Coalition wants to stay anonymous. The group prepared to camp here in the park.
Sometimes you have to make a sacrifice of your personal life. Plan is to occupy USC until our demands are met.
In the center of Alumni Park is where this camping could be taking place. Right now, hundreds of demonstrators walking around it.
It's so annoying. Yeah. We pay so much money for this campus, and all we get is a crisis.
The university ought to condemn these protests for what they are, anti-Semitic.
Jaden Putzel, one of several Jewish USC students offended by the pro-Palestinian demonstration.
My sister came to me, called me crying. She goes to school. People are not happy. People don't feel safe on the campus.
Pro-Palestinian protests erupting across the country, including this camp-in at Columbia University.
Free, free, free Palestine!
Last week, USC canceled the valedictorian's commencement speech after she made posts online about Israel.
Let's just put down the weapons, let's come together, let's find a talk.
Demonstrators at USC prepared to stay here as long as they can.
I love it. I think it's very necessary. But I also hope it doesn't distract from the international coverage of Gaza.
And that was Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf reporting for us tonight from Los Angeles. The White House and House Speaker Mike Johnson came forward today to address the escalating protests.
To every Jewish student listening to us, no matter where you are around the country, you have my word. The U.S. House of Representatives will do everything in our power to ensure that you are safe, you can freely practice your faith, and you can go to school just like everybody else.
This is a deeply painful moment for many communities, and we understand that. The president believes that free speech, debate, and non-discrimination on college campuses are important. They're important American values, and that, and so he'll always be very clear. We will always be very clear about that here. But protests must be peaceful.
In Northern California, the campus of Cal Poly Humboldt remains closed tonight as protesters continue to occupy one of the school's main administrative buildings. Protesters have also barricaded themselves inside a second building. 3 arrests have been made. School officials are expecting the campus is going to remain closed all throughout the upcoming weekend. They are closely monitoring the situation, and they hope students will be open to discussions around a peaceful resolution. We are also following a developing story tonight in Arizona. That's where a grand jury has indicted 18 allies of former President Trump for their efforts to subvert the results of the 2020 election. Among those charged, former Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and attorney Rudy Giuliani. The indictment says some of those Republicans acted as fake electors, submitting a document to Congress falsely declaring that Trump beat President Biden in Arizona. Biden won that state by more than 10,000 votes. The indictment includes charges of conspiracy and fraud. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a new law signed today by President Biden could lead to a ban on TikTok here in the U.S. if the app's Chinese owner refuses to sell the company. Coming up, reaction from business owners here in the West who say they rely on that app to make a living. Also, counterfeit Botox made one woman sick here in the West. We'll break down what doctors say shoppers should do to avoid being poisoned.
Cool, cloudy, even soggy at times over parts of the West with another day very similar to today. I'll have a look at what we can expect coming up.
A warm welcome today for Utah's newest pro sports team. Hockey players from the NHL's former Arizona Coyotes arrived in Salt Lake City today. Screaming fans waiting for them at the Salt Lake City International Airport. And the Delta Center hosted a party for the team and the fans this afternoon.
Extremely excited to have an NHL team here. I think it's going to completely change the landscape of hockey in Utah, especially college hockey. And it's going to be, I'm excited to see what happens.
It remains unclear what the team's new name will be when it starts playing in Utah. A minor league baseball team in Montana is locked in a trademark dispute with the National Park Service, and this all centers around the team's logo. The Glacier Range Riders posted these side-by-side images of the team's logo and the logo for the National Park Service. Both include depictions of an arrowhead. The team based in Kalispell, Montana, has applied for several trademarks and logo marks. The government's Interior Department filed a response in protest, arguing that people could form false associations between the team and the Park Service. The team calls the government's complaints about its logo unwarranted. A hearing on this matter is tentatively scheduled for next year. Businesses in Arizona that rely on TikTok are reacting to President Biden's move today as he signed legislation that could ban the app here in the U.S. A woman from Tempe named Chelsea Hostin says she makes her income through the platform. The bill gives TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance 9 months to sell, and if it doesn't, the app could be banned in the U.S. Supporters of the measure say they're concerned about sensitive user data being handed over to the Chinese government and about the app being used to spread propaganda. Although the legislation is focused on national security concerns, TikTok influencers say they're nervous about what losing the app would mean for their business.
It makes me nervous, not only for me, but a lot of small businesses that rely on that. I know for many people, they can't afford marketing budgets. There's a lot more of a younger demographic on there than compared to, Instagram and things like that. So I feel like that's a whole group of people that you're going to lose.
TikTok's parent company ByteDance has argued this law signed today requires them to sell their share in the app in the next 9 months, and they say it violates the First Amendment, and the company is promising a legal challenge.
Well, a little bit for everyone out there across the West. We have Seattle today with 54 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, and even scattered showers in the forecast. Meanwhile, Phoenix this afternoon came in with 93 degrees. That's a 40-degree difference from the Pacific Northwest to the desert Southwest. And here's a look at the temperatures right now, where Seattle is reporting a 10 degrees or so, dropping from 50 earlier this afternoon, and Phoenix 88 now after, again, topping out right about 83. Meanwhile, along the stretch of California and most of the West, a little bit below average with cloudy skies and temperatures now in the upper 50s from San Francisco into Los Angeles. So for Thursday, another system dropping into the Pacific Northwest will bring scattered showers to areas of Washington, Oregon, slipping all the way into California. It looks like by Thursday night into Friday. Mostly cloudy skies, mainly dry weather expected for tomorrow over California. But take a look at what is happening once again over areas of Arizona. 90s expected, with 70s over the Intermountain West. A view here of what's happening out there. This low here that has brought the cloudy skies and the cooler temps to areas over California will eventually shift inland. As it does, it's going to leave, again, just a brief break before the next system begins to pull in out of the Gulf of Alaska. So this is already impacting areas of the Pacific Northwest, eventually moving into parts of California. And the Sierra Nevada is expected to get a few inches of snow on Friday as well. Now this evening, with that system off the coastline, we do have a wind advisory over the desert, the Mojave Desert there, and even a high wind warning with those gusts reaching anywhere from 55 miles per hour to 70 miles per hour. So it's a bit treacherous there in the desert Southwest. Here's a view of tomorrow morning, where that next system is already moving in to the Pacific Northwest. The system off the coastline today will be over areas of Nevada and the Intermountain West. And then as we roll into Friday, notice how that wet weather begins to sink in to California as well as parts of Nevada. The good news is, for folks that want the warmer weather and the dry conditions, it will come on the weekend for the state of California. And here's a look at the next 3 days, where it's going to be soggy and cool over areas of Seattle. It's going to be cool and breezy for San Francisco. Mild temperatures expected to rebound into the weekend. We've got low 70s for Los Angeles, and over the Phoenix area going to be warm. Alex?
Rosemary, thank you. 1 year after the mysterious killings of several women in the Portland area, the victims' families say they are not giving up on seeking justice. Fox 12's Connor McCarthy talked with some of the victims' loved ones who say it has been an emotional year of searching for answers.
5 Portland area families still looking for justice, 1 year after law enforcement began announcing the discovery of their loved ones' bodies.
So many ups and downs, and it's been rough.
I sat down with Joanna Speaks' sister, Ariel Hamby, Kristen Smith's mother, Melissa Smith, and Charity Perry's mother, Diana Allen. For the last year, they've fought through all kinds of emotions, waiting for someone to be charged with their loved ones' murders.
It's an emotional roller coaster, and even though we haven't said anything to anybody, it doesn't mean that we haven't been digging and searching and investigating ourselves together, and whatever we could come up with trying to help.
In the beginning, the families of Kristen Smith, Charity Perry, Joanna Speaks, Bridget Webster, and Ashley Reel only knew their loved ones' deaths were being investigated as homicides. Then in the summer of 2023, the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office announced a person of interest connected to 4 of the women. Then around Thanksgiving, Portland police confirmed Joanna Speaks' case was transferred to their bureau from Clark County.
I feel like I could speak for myself, and not just these 3, but Ashley and Bridget's family too. This is still extremely traumatizing. It's still very there, and unfortunately with the year anniversary, it's a reminder of how broken we were during the beginning.
The first anniversary also falls around the primary election and a heated race for the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office. In the voter's guide, Nathan Vasquez, who is running to unseat Mike Schmidt, referenced the investigation into the person of interest. He says, quote, "Under my opponent's watch, a violent criminal who was arrested for kidnapping and assaulting a police officer was released from prison. Once free, he murdered 4 women. The person of interest has not been charged with murder in these cases." The families of the women say they were not told by Vasquez's campaign about the statement.
I'm devastated as to whether or not it's going to affect our cases, and at the same time, like, emotionally, angry to think that it is possible that our loved ones would be used as political pawns.
I am hurt that you have not reached out to us. I feel like you have zero empathy for us families and the tragic nightmare that we are going through.
The families say both sides of the ticket are to blame, and they're hoping politics doesn't get in the way of finding answers.
They've told us nothing. And I know we keep saying that, but like,
it's true.
Geez, like a year in and we're just like picking at anything we can. And so it's almost like we're gonna be getting answers without them telling us if something were to happen around an election. And that's what makes me think that if that's the case, like our cases are being used as a political ploy. And that makes me very unhappy.
The families do want to be clear that detectives are aggressively investigating the person of interest and their loved ones' cases. I did reach out to the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office to see if there are any updates with a potential indictment, but I didn't hear back. But within the next year, the families say they want to see an indictment come down.
We need the closure. We need to be able to grieve. We need a conviction. We deserve that.
In Portland, Connor McCarthy, Fox 12 Oregon.
And Multnomah County District Attorney candidate Nathan Vasquez has responded to criticism about discussing these cases during his campaign. He issued a statement that says, in part, quote, "I am frustrated and saddened by the fact that these families are still waiting for justice and look forward to working with them." Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a California woman is learning the hard way. Coming up, what happened when she took a bad batch of Botox to a party. Experts are warning about a rise in counterfeit Botox that's being reported in 11 states, including California. The CDC says there have been about 24 recent cases of botulism. At least 2 of them were here in California, including a woman in San Diego. She bought the bad Botox online. Its use resulted in headaches, fatigue, and blurred vision.
And then took it to a Botox party where it was injected by an unlicensed and untrained person.
These are elective procedures, not something that anybody ever has to do. So you really want to do your homework, be a good consumer, ask a lot of questions. This is not a treatment that you need to be doing in someone's bathroom.
Only licensed physicians can buy Botox legally, and it should only be administered by licensed professionals. The San Diego woman suffered mild side effects from the bad Botox. Other victims were sent to the hospital. Finally tonight, a late sign of spring here in the West. Desert conservation workers in Las Vegas captured the moment Mojave Max emerged from his burrow yesterday. They posted these images on social media showing the desert tortoise peeking outside for the first time in a long time. Moving slow there. It didn't take long for Mojave Max to get reacquainted with terrain on the Las Vegas Springs Preserve. This is the second latest date he has emerged from brumation, which is similar to hibernation. Back in 2012, he emerged on April 17th. And no word tonight if Mojave Max saw his shadow after emerging. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching. You can stay up to date on all the stories we're covering at our website, westcoastwrap.com. You can stream all the shows as well. All you have to do for that is to download the Fox Local app, which is free. We appreciate you watching tonight. Have a great one. We will see you back here tomorrow.